File codename: Spectra. Category: supernatural terrorist, fear-inducing adversary. Today's contingency is designated for the spectral manipulator known for her eerie presence and ability to break the will of her opponents. On the surface, she seems playful, maybe even harmless, but don't let her demeanor fool you. Her abilities are as deceptive as her personality. She can cripple the strongest-willed individuals with her ghostly powers, draining their morale and leaving them completely vulnerable. Perona is one of the most unconventional threats I've studied. Known as the Ghost Princess, she commands an army of supernatural entities called hollows. These hollows aren't mere apparitions, they're versatile constructs with distinct functions. Exploding hollows can cause significant damage, while her negative hollows target an individual's psyche, inducing a debilitating state of despair that renders even the most stalwart opponents incapable of resistance. This psychological warfare makes her particularly dangerous against emotionally or mentally fragile targets. Perona's abilities are amplified by her astral projection, a technique that allows her to separate her spirit from her physical body. In this form, she becomes immune to physical attacks, operating freely while directing her hollows. However, this creates a critical vulnerability. Her real body remains stationary and defenseless during astral projection. This duality is both a strength and a weakness. Her personality is as complex as her powers. While she exhibits a playful and mischievous nature, she's also highly strategic, leveraging her abilities to outwit and demoralize her enemies. Her role under Gecko Moria on Thriller Bark showcased her loyalty, but also her tendency to underestimate opponents, which has backfired in the past. Notably, her powers proved ineffective against individuals like Usopp, whose unshakable optimism and self-belief neutralized her negative hollows, demonstrating that her abilities have psychological limits. Additionally, her reliance on astral projection and hollows makes her ill-suited for prolonged engagements. Prolonged combat or scenarios that force her into direct confrontation with her physical body leave her exposed. Understanding these nuances is critical to developing a strategy to neutralize and contain her effectively. Countering Perona requires understanding both her powers and her personality. Here's how it can be done. Perona's greatest weapon isn't her negative hollows, it's the assumption that no one can resist them. She preys on the mind, overwhelming her targets with despair so deep they can't fight back. That's not a concern for me. I've faced worse. I've endured Scarecrow's fear toxin, Mad Hatter's mind control, even psychic assaults from beings far beyond human comprehension. If she thinks a few ghosts whispering failure in my ear are going to stop me, she's mistaken. The real challenge isn't resisting her, it's neutralizing her efficiently. My first move is to eliminate the hollows. They aren't ghosts, not in the traditional sense. They lack true sentience and exist purely as manifestations of her power. That makes them vulnerable to the right technology. I've encountered specialists who built their careers on hunting spectral anomalies, and while their methods were unorthodox, the science behind them held merit. Drawing from similar principles, I've developed a spectral suppression cannon, a high-output vacuum system designed to pull in and destabilize ectoplasmic entities. The device creates a controlled vortex, pulling the hollows in and sealing them within a reinforced containment chamber lined with energy-dampening material. Once inside, their structure collapses, cutting off Perona's ability to use them against me. But not all of her hollows are passive. Some explode on impact, functioning more like sentient bombs than simple phantoms. Their destructive capability is unpredictable, making them a priority threat. Spectral dispersion mines, a defensive countermeasure, would neutralize these before they can detonate. When deployed, they emit a controlled energy pulse, disrupting the unstable ectoplasmic charge within the explosive hollows and forcing them to dissipate harmlessly. These mines are proximity-based, activating the moment an explosive hollow gets too close, ensuring that no matter how many she summons, they never reach their intended target. With the hollows gone, she loses her primary method of keeping me at a distance. That's when I force her back to her body. Perona's astral projection allows her spirit to roam freely. But it has one critical limitation. Her physical form remains vulnerable. To force her return, I'd deploy a high-frequency spectral disruptor, calibrated to target the unique energy wavelength her astral form operates on. This isn't theoretical. Similar techniques have been used in Gotham to counteract metahumans with intangibility-based abilities. When activated, the device creates an oscillating field that disrupts the stability of her projected form, effectively pulling her spirit back to her physical body. The moment she's back in her body, the final step is containment. A precision tranquilizer dart, laced with a fast-acting sedative, would neutralize her resistance. To ensure she stays immobilized, I'd follow with an electrified net, reinforced with conductive polymer fibers that create a sustained current. Non-lethal, but enough to prevent any further resistance. Perona would be transported to Star Labs' specialized facility in Austin, Texas, a research division dedicated to genetics and metahuman studies. Their containment cells are designed for high-risk, ability-based threats, and one in particular is built for cases like hers. The cell is lined with hydroconductive dampeners, exploiting her devil fruit weakness to ensure she remains powerless. While inside, Star Labs personnel and I would work to determine whether the effects of the devil fruit can be neutralized or suppressed, either through biochemical inhibitors or targeted neurological interference. Her fate wouldn't be decided immediately. A full psychological evaluation would determine whether she remains a long-term threat or if rehabilitation is possible. Unlike Gotham's criminals, Perona isn't driven by destruction, just mischief, arrogance, and an inflated sense of power. If there's a way to remove her abilities without harming her, that would be the preferred outcome. But if she remains a danger, permanent containment will be the only option. Perona relies on fear, misdirection, and the assumption that her abilities are absolute. But I've spent my life proving that no ability is unbeatable. The next time she haunts someone, it won't be in my world.